All right, we are live. Welcome back to the Fast Break podcast here on the Variety Sports Network. I'm your host, Shoot the Rock, and it is officially hoop season, folks. Maybe it's officially baseball season, whatever sport you're into, but football has now concluded with the Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Bowl this past Sunday. So we're going all in on basketball. And I think, this time of year, it's when a lot of, folks really do start tuning into basketball for the first time, whether that's NBA, whether that's college hoops. So we're going to talk a little bit of both here on today's show. Um, Again, sorry that it's Tuesday this week rather than Monday. A little bit of that Super Bowl hangover for me and others. So, but yeah, let's start here talking about the NBA trade deadline was this past week. I know we talked about it a lot on last week's show here, but that's where I want to start today. And start with some of these bigger trades. Let's talk about them. Sadly, like I said, no Luka Doncic to the Lakers like last year. That was just insane. I don't think we could have asked for a bigger trade to start this show with, but this is probably the biggest one that also kind of came out of nowhere. Like James Harden was not even a player that I mentioned about potentially getting traded here on last week's episode. It was a lot of Giannis, it was Ja, it was guys like that who didn't end up getting traded. That was what, was kind of speculated would be the biggest name moved. And it ends up not being any of those guys. It ends up being James Harden. So Harden goes to the Cavs, where then the Clippers get Darius Garland and a 2026 second round pick. So this essentially was like a 1-for-1, like straight up just pick swap or player swap between these two guys. And like I said, it's one that just kind of came out of nowhere and I found really interesting. So Harden here says that the Clippers are kind of starting to rebuild. He doesn't really see himself as part of the future of that franchise and was kind of trying to help them, move on here, get younger, and kind of get ready for that next, era here of Clippers basketball. While Cleveland, on the other hand, this dynamic duo they have of Mitchell and Garland. Grant Garland has been dealing with some injuries here. They end up blowing it up and going with James Harden to pair alongside Donovan Mitchell. So the grades for both these on ESPN here, it gave Cleveland a B and the Clippers a B plus. I mean, I guess I don't know. This is just like a weird trade for me where I guess I like it, but I also don't. I mean, the Cavs here are trading for a guy that's 10 years older, but also in all honesty, like I don't know if this core of Mitchell and Garland didn't really work here, with like, guys like Mobley and Jared Allen, if that didn't really work here in the next couple of years, they honestly might have blown it up anyways. So I guess you're really just trying to go all in here. I would say James Harden probably is the better player than Darius Garland, especially, Garland has been dealing with some toe injuries that have really, kind of set him back this year. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you like the older guy who's you think is the better player. And then sure, I guess mine as well. Interesting thing here for me. This is now James Harden. Since getting traded to Brooklyn in the 2020-2021 season, so it was like, I want to say like early 2021, he got traded to Brooklyn. This is now going to be his fifth team in 6 years. Granted, he's already played a couple games here with the Cavs, but it's just like odd to me how it just seems to be every like trade deadline. Because then even kind of the Brooklyn trade deadline, or a couple years with Brooklyn, then all of a sudden he gets dealt to Philly at the deadline. Then Philly was the whole thing where then he gets traded here early in the season to the LA, and now once again it gets traded at the deadline. This time to the Cavs. The Cavs of all cities, Cleveland doesn't really strike me as somewhere that a guy like James Harden would be looking to play. So I guess, maybe it's a good trade for them in that aspect of they're never going to be able to really sign a guy like James Harden. So being able to trade for him, kind of get him there, pair along with Donovan Mitchell. I mean, we'll see. This is a Cavs team that was the 1 seed a year ago. So I don't hate it. Like I said, it is kind of odd trading for the 10-year older player of, these two guys. But like I said, I kind of think they might have ended up moving up on from a Garland or a Mitchell in a couple of years here anyways if it didn't work. So it's kind of, you're just going to run it out with James Harden, see if they can win a chip in that time with those two kind of being their go-to guards. I guess we'll see. I don't know if I predict. I think I see that happening. I mean, the East is pretty open, but I don't know. And then on the Clippers side, I mean, Clippers, it's definitely like been a down year for them. Having a guy like James Harden no longer on your team, getting a little bit younger here, I think makes sense. I think they can take a risk on a Darius Garland, like I said, is younger. Clippers are currently the 10 seed. Probably will end up being a play-in team, but for how talented that this roster was coming into the year, I feel like that's definitely kind of a disappointing season here for the Clippers. So I guess, to get a pick, get Darius Garland. I don't hate it for them. Yeah, I would say like a B minus at ESPN gave them. That's a good grade. Like this just really isn't like a huge like move the needle trade for me for either side. Sorry, I'm like very unorganized here right now. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was just kind of out of nowhere. But with James Harden, I guess you should kind of expect at this point. Seems to get traded a lot here at the deadline. So I would say, yeah, probably about a B for both teams in this one. Like not a trade that I think really changes either one's outlook tremendously, but I guess, kind of ends up making sense for both teams here. All right, and then the next one we'll go with next trade. And like I said, make sure to drop here in the comments your guys' grades for these trades. We did have one guy that wanted to get traded. Jonathan Kuminga is now heading to the Atlanta Hawks, as well as Buddy Hield in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. Now heading to Golden State. So Porzingis now finding himself on another team. Let me look up for him how many teams this is for Porzingis. Like lately, because it seems like he's getting kind of moved around a lot lately as well. Granted, hasn't played a bunch, but has been in quite a couple deals. Yeah, I mean now this is going to be his fourth team in the last 5 seasons. 16 in the last 8, something like that. Yeah, no, it's more than that. Since 2021, 2022, he got played for Dallas and Washington. Then played, 2 full years in the next full year in Washington. Then the 2 years with the Celtics, and then now has played 17 games with the Hawks here before getting traded to now Golden State. So Porzingis definitely kind of fills this need here for the Warriors, I would say, where they're looking for like a wing, defender, offensive player, especially after Jimmy Butler goes down. So it definitely, fills kind of a need there. And where Kuminga, he obviously, didn't really want to be in Golden State anymore, to go to a team like Atlanta, who just traded Trae Young as well. Like they're definitely trying to get younger. Think, they could have something there going in the future. Like for me, this trade makes a lot of sense for them. I mean, they're right now 26 and 29. They're currently in the 9 seed. So like I said, I don't know if this necessarily moves the needle for the Hawks this year, but I think in the future, like I like how it kind of is now. They're trying to play alongside Jalen Johnson, their all-star. Like he's going to be the key centerpiece here going forward. So getting Kuminga to go with him there, I really like that. And then Buddy Hield as a shooter. So let's see. ESPN here gave this a B+ for the Hawks and a C+ for Golden State. I would probably agree with that. Like I said, I think it's a trade that definitely makes sense for the Hawks, getting younger. So they just moved on from Trae Young, trying to get more young guys to build around Jalen Johnson, kind of pair with him. I like that. The Warriors, they probably need a guy like Porzingis, but do I think this makes them a serious contender in the West? Probably not. So it's just kind of like an trade for them, but I don't know. They wanted to get rid of Kuminga, so I don't hate it for that reason. So then let's talk about another one here. We'll go with, like I said, Trae Young got traded to the Wizards, but he now has another former All-Star joining him. Anthony Davis is going to the Wizards as well from the Mavericks, as well as Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. The Mavs are getting Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, a 2026 first-round pick from OKC, 2030 first-round pick from Golden State, 2026 second-round pick from Phoenix, 2027 second-round pick from Chicago, and a 2029 second-round pick from Houston. Yeah, I'm be honest, seeing it says that Branham went to the Hornets. Maybe that's the case. Let me look that up. Because what I'm just seeing that okay, it is saying here now that he's on the Hornets, so he must have gotten waived or something. Let's see here. Malachi Branham was traded from the Mavericks on Thursday. Okay. All right, so this must have been kind of combined like two trades here that just ESPN did it as two separate trades. But yeah, the Wizards, if it was like 2K19, like NBA 2K19, Trae Young and Anthony Davis, those guys would like honestly be one of my go-to teams to use in the game there. So, but that's the problem here. It's not, 2K19. Honestly, I don't even know if we're going to see Anthony Davis play for the Wizards. From what it's sounding, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded here again this off season. But it was just kind of one of those things like Dallas. For Dallas, I just will never understand the Luka Doncic trade. I think it feels like something fishy happened there. I don't know. Like, I guess you get Cooper Flag, where that's kind of a bail a little bit. And granted, now Nico Harrison's gone. But the fact that the guy you traded for, like the main piece you traded for Luka Doncic, isn't even on the team a year later is just insane to me. Like, you had your franchise cornerstone and you traded him. I don't get it at all. So, the trade here gave Dallas, or they gave Dallas a B grade. Like last year they're saying they gave it an F. But I guess now you get guys like AJ Johnson, well now Malachi Branham, but like Bagley, you get a lot of picks. So it's definitely full like rebuild here in Dallas, which makes sense. They're currently 19-33. They got a young team in Cooper Flag. It's, can we get more guys to pair around Flag for the future here, have him be the next, face of the team here in Dallas. So for that, sure. For Washington, I don't know. This is like this. I guess they're just trying to be really bad, like trying to get young guys, trying to get guys. Like Exum and Russell, like they kind of are just like they're not really great players any means. I guess the Wizards same thing here. Trying to build around Alex Sarr. But yeah, I don't know. This was just kind of like a trade for me. It didn't really do a whole lot, which is kind of weird considering, Anthony Davis is the name, but just how many injury issues Davis has really been having recently. It doesn't really like excite me as much as it used to. So, I guess I don't know, like B's, C's, probably more just C's for all these teams. Like this one's just kind of and I guess it's more just like frustration as Mavericks fans is my biggest takeaway from this. How frustrated I would be if I'm a Mavs fan that like the guy we traded for Luka isn't even on the team a year later. Luckily, like we get bailed out. Like I said, that's why I'm thinking there's some sort of like Adam Silver was like Mavericks, you trade Luka, will get you the number one pick. But yeah, like I don't know. To me, it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So, this trade's just kind of like a C, maybe even a D. Like I'm just kind of on it. All right, and then this one, final one, we'll kind of touch on here more in depth. That was just kind of like surprising, like out of nowhere. Like I said, I thought that Ja would be the guy that Memphis trades, but it ends up being Jaren Jackson Jr. So Jaren Jackson Jr., as well as John Conchard, Jock Landale, and Vince Williams Jr. go to the Jazz in exchange for Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, Georges Niang, and 3 future first-round picks. So for Memphis, honestly, it's a really good return. They got a lot of young guys. Kyle Anderson's played there before. 3 first-round picks as well for Jaren Jackson Jr. I think that's a really good return. They give him an A- here on ESPN. I'd have to agree with that. Utah, for me, though, I don't really know why they're trading for Jaren Jackson Jr. in all honesty. Like, they are 17-37. They're clearly not going to make the postseason. Like, they're going to be a lottery team again here. You now have Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen, so like 2 power forwards as your best 2 players is a kind of odd to me a little bit, but I don't know. Like I said, I definitely like Memphis as the winner in this one. Like I thought they got a really good haul there, and then who knows? They trade Ja in the offseason here. Like so, maybe they'll make the play, but they're 10 games or they're 5 games out of a play of that 10 seed right now. And even I don't know if you really want to make the make the play-in. So I kind of like Memphis here, going young. I think Ja's time is probably coming to an end here pretty soon, and yeah, you're going to be looking at a kind of new era of the Grizzlies, which does kind of stink for Grizzlies fans. Like I know a couple years ago, like the Grizzlies were the 2 seed. Like people thought like this team was gonna, with that core, was gonna do achieve more than they have, and I guess it has been some kind of injuries, off the court issues, stuff like that has really affected this Memphis team, but I don't know. I guess yeah, I like that they're moving on. Um, think they get a really good haul of the Jazz. They get a top player, but I don't know. Maybe gave up a little bit much for him, especially considering they are still trying to move off of Markkinen. But I don't know. Maybe you pair him with say you get AJ DeBancer or something this off season. So we'll see. But yeah, two teams that I would say are just kind of both rebuilding, and not a bad trade for either side. So then we'll move on here in the NBA to some All-Star Weekend stuff. We got the Stars and Stripes as well as the world rosters announced here. So how the format is going to be this year is they're going to play it's essentially going to be 4 quarters, like a full game, where it's going to be 4 12-minute games. I wish they would just go back to East and West at this point rather than trying to get kind of tricky with it. But I guess with the Olympics, I kind of get why they're doing that right now. So the first game will be USA Stars versus World. Then it'll be USA Stripes versus whichever team wins that game. And then USA Stripes versus the loser of the first game. And then the All-Star Game Championship, which will be, so like if a team goes 2-0 and then the other team goes 1-1, like it'll be those two teams. Or if all three finish 1-1, the first tiebreaker will be point differential across the team's 2 games. Where that's what I'm saying. Like it's just so goofy, dude. Like just play East versus West. Like I get it. Is the effort in the All-Star game what it used to be? No. And is that very disappointing? Yes. Because I don't know, just these guys, like this current generation of NBA players really doesn't seem to care about much except for, getting their bag and hooping. Like any like extracurriculars. I mean, heck, even regular season games half the time. If they feel like something is unnecessary to be played in and to give effort, they don't. So I just think like you almost have to just punt and just realize like, hey, they're not going to care. Like have it just kind of be a spectacle. I mean, look at the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl now is on like a Tuesday. They play flag football. The NFL realizes like guys don't care. So like I think the NBA just go back to East and West. You're probably not going to get a good game, and it's really not even an event for the fans anymore. I mean, I get it. You want to sell like jerseys and stuff like that, but like honestly, like them getting rid of the All-Star game like altogether, and like I don't know, we'll get to even the All-Star Saturday night. Like the guys don't really seem to care about that. They struggle to get people for like the dunk contest. Like, so I was gonna say my other option is like, they are going all in here on this in-season tournament. It does seem to be the guys care about that a little bit, because at least then they're making money for the guys at the end of the bench who like can use that money. Where I don't know, have like the All-Star events around like do the in-season tournament later, the NBA Cup later, and then just have like All-Star Saturday night be like NBA Cup Saturday night, where you do all those events, and then Sunday instead of the All-Star game is the NBA Cup championship. Excuse me. But let's look at these rosters here. So that USA Stripes team, we have Jaylen Brown, Jalen Brunson, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Brandon Ingram, LeBron, Kawhi, Donovan Mitchell, and Norman Powell, which it was announced today that Brandon Ingram is going to be a replacement for Steph Curry. Steph Curry will not be playing in the game. For USA Stars, we have Scotty Barnes, Devin Booker, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Anthony Edwards, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Johnson, and Tyrese Maxey. And then for Team World, we have Giannis, Denny Avdija, Luka Doncic, Shea, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Alfred Sengun, Pascal Siakam, Karl Anthony Towns, and Victor Wembanyama, which same thing. Shea will not be playing, and Alfred Sengun replaced him. So that's the thing too. I feel like last week we talked about snubs, and there always kind of is some, but there's always like injuries now where I feel like the guys that get snubbed just kind of end up getting early. Like, Kawhi was the one people talked about. He like got named to the team almost instantly. Denny Avdija was the other guy that maybe had like a case. He gets in. And then Brandon Ingram's actually kind of one I didn't see coming. I thought maybe James Harden would get the nod for Curry there, but I don't hate that selection at all. So yeah, if I had to make my pick, like I said, I like that Team World team. I think they're pretty. That's probably the best team of the three roster, just because you're splitting up then these top USA guys, and then out of the two USA teams, I'm probably going to pick. I'm probably going to pick Team Stripes. I could see that kind of just being something maybe the guys on that team care about more. I mean, KD, LeBron, Kawhi, especially Kawhi with it being in his home city. So I think we get like World versus Stripes in the championship, and I think then maybe there will be some sort of like, oh, the USA team's got to win. We can't let the World guys beat us. So then maybe for that reason, I guess I'll go with Team USA Stripes to win the All-Star game here. But like I said, I really wish they would just go back to East and West, especially to what they're doing here, where it's like, which makes I like they're doing it because the tournament last year they just did like the 4 teams in the 2 games. Like there was like no basketball played. It went way too quick, so they're trying to make up for that this year of like, okay, we're gonna have 4 games, 4 12-minute games, so it's gonna be like 4 quarters. Like just play a 4-quarter NBA game, like just play a 4-quarter East versus West game. It would be so much easier, especially because it's not even like a tournament. It's round robin and then 2 teams playing again. And it could be determined based on point differentials. So it just seemed very like silly and unnecessary to me. So for that reason, I'd rather just see East versus West, or like I said, get rid of it altogether. Then we're gonna look at here the All-Star Saturday night. So for that we have the 3-point contest, the shooting stars, and the slam dunk. So I guess no skills challenge this year, which I guess I don't hate. That's fine. I don't know. Like I said, it's just like all this, like the guys don't care. It really seems to be all just kind of like for laughs and giggles. Like, I don't know. So looking at the 3-point contest participants, we got Devin Booker, Con Knippel, Dame Lillard, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, Bobby Portis, and Norm Powell. I'd say the most interesting to me in this one is Dame Lillard is participating despite he hasn't played all year because he has a torn ACL. Or whatever he did. I forget what the injury was. I want to say that's what it was. Or it was Achilles. Yeah, it was Achilles, not ACL. But then is going to shoot in the 3-point contest. Like, that's what I'm saying. They can't even get guys to do a 3-point contest where we're going to have a guy that hasn't played all year. Grant has won the 3-point contest a couple times, participate in it. So that's just funny to me. Con Knippel, I'm really excited for. I mean, he's been shooting the ball really well this year. Right up there for Rookie of the Year potentially. And then, probably if I had to pick anyone to challenge him, maybe Booker, or I kind of like Norm Powell here as well. But honestly, I think I'm going to go with Knippel as my pick to win the 3-point contest here. I don't know. Maybe he's a guy that, being a rookie, he actually will try and like give an effort. But yeah, give me Con Knippel to win the 3-point contest. Then the shooting stars we have, they did this a couple years ago. It's just like a shooting contest of like, layup, free throw, 3, and then maybe half court shot. And it's just like whatever team can like do it the fastest, if I'm remembering correctly. So that we got 4 teams. First, we have Team All-Star, and they have, each team has an NBA legend on it as well. So Team All-Star, Scotty Barnes, Chet Holmgren, and then Rip Hamilton. Team Knicks is Jalen Brunson, Cat, and Allen Houston. Team Cameron, which is like a Duke team. I guess they probably can't use Team Duke, so they do like Team Cameron, like Cameron Indoor. We got Con Knippel, Jalen Johnson, and Corey Maggette. And then Team Harper, which is Dylan Harper, Ron Harper Jr., and Ron Harper Sr. So the family getting it all together there. Yeah, I don't know. This one was always kind of goofy when they did it. I'm kind of surprised they brought it back. I'm a Duke fan. Give me Team Cameron to get the win in this one. Con Knippel, we're going to be doing a lot of winning here on Saturday night. And then the slam dunk contest. We have Carter Bryant from the Spurs, Jackson Hayes from the Lakers, Kashad Johnson from the Heat, and Jace Richardson from the Mavericks. Jace Richardson didn't apparently even know he was in this contest. So that's how much, they're just getting guys lining up to do the dunk contest nowadays. Yeah, this one, like I said, same thing. I don't really have much of a take here. I guess maybe Carter Bryant, he was working with some dunk coach that was working with Stephon Castle in the past, who, has had some good performances at the slam dunk contest here. So yeah, I guess Carter Bryant. Oh, sorry, I thought this segment was gonna be longer, and then it turns out it's actually super underwhelming, and I probably am not gonna watch All-Star Saturday Night. So yeah, but that's what we got going on here. Other just kind of NBA talk to wrap it up here. Just like I said, look at this. We got the standings. OKC still here in first, with then the Spurs, Nuggets, Rockets, Lakers, and Timberwolves rounding out those spots. That's kind of what we're looking here. 2 days left, or 3 days, including Tuesday here in the first half. With then the Suns a game out in the 7th seed. Golden State in 8th. Portland 9th, and the Clippers 10th. So I think that's probably kind of what we're looking right now as these 10 teams. Unless the Clippers drop. I mean, Portland isn't really tanking, I would say. They're a younger team, but honestly, sometimes it's kind of good for those younger teams to get in these spots. But yeah, the Grizzlies and Mavs, I don't really think are good enough to overcome those deficits. So I think that's probably what we'll be looking at here for the playoff picture. On the East side, Detroit still leading the way, 39-13, 7-3 in their last 10, with the Knicks in second, and then Boston in third. Both those teams 34-19, 5.5 games behind Detroit. Then we got Cleveland in fourth, Toronto fifth, and Philly sixth to round it out there, with then the play-in being Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, and Charlotte. The Bulls are a game out of that 10 seed, and the Bucks are currently 2.5 games, but I mean, maybe they jump the Hawks, but the way Charlotte's actually been playing pretty well. They did lose their last game. They're 9-1 in their last 10. And I don't know, like I said, same thing, a young team where, they're tanking sometimes. Eventually Charlotte just needs to win. So, for that reason, I like Charlotte to probably stick in there. So let's move on now. Talk a little college hoops here. Current AP Top 25s came out yesterday, which, granted, we did have the number 1 team, Arizona, lose. For their first loss yesterday. Then Michigan's now 2, Houston up to 3, Duke down to 4 after their loss to North Carolina. And then Iowa State at 5, UConn down to 6, Nebraska 7, Illinois 8, Kansas 9, Michigan State 10, and then Carolina at 11. So yeah, let's talk about some of those, top results here from this weekend that contributed to those rankings. First, like I said, Duke Carolina, probably the best rivalry in all of college basketball, or not, definitely the best rivalry in all of college basketball, has a case for best rivalry in all of sports. North Carolina comes from behind, beats Duke 71-68, as Seth Trimble hit a 3 at the buzzer, give him 16 points on the game, but really it was Caleb Wilson just kind of willed the Tar Heels back in this one. He scored 23 points, and this was just, it was a classic Duke Carolina game. Duke, it is a little frustrating here to see that they kind of just keep losing games in the same fashion. We're leading by as much as 13 or 14 in this one, and once again lose. Just can't put the game away. Granted, only 1 foul on North Carolina in the entire second half. Seems a little odd to me for how physical this game was. I think Carolina, definitely got a better whistle there than Duke, especially, Cam Boozer did score 24 points, but took 21 shots and just kind of was missing some layups where, maybe some of them he got fouled, but especially the one at the end that could have given Duke the lead, he just missed. Just got to knock those in, and he was not able to. So, impressive win here for Carolina. This now kind of makes, the ACC back a little bit more wide open, as they're Duke's now 10-1. I want to say Clemson's 10-1 as well. Carolina's 7-3. They're still out of it. I want to say there's 1 or 2 other teams that just have 2 losses in conference play. So, Duke might not run away with the ACC as much as I thought they would a couple weeks ago. So, shout out to Carolina for a big win there. And then the other one, like I said, you're seeing UConn here. They fall to 6 after probably just one of the best Big East games I've seen in a while. It just felt like an old school Big East game. It was Friday night at the Garden. Everyone was hyped up, waiting for this game. And UConn, they fall 81-72 to St. John's. St. John's was ranked 22 at the time. They're now up all the way to 18 after knocking off the Huskies. And it was just a really impressive win for the Johnnies here. A team that, after that loss to Providence early in Big East play, it was looking like maybe they wouldn't be that good this year. But now 12-1 in the Big East, just like UConn, so they're tied atop the league here. Zuby Edgeforth, a big one in this one, going for 21 points and 10 rebounds, as well as 7 assists. So it's just a scrappy game, really physical game, and I feel like that plays well into Zuby's play style, and that's where he's able to dominate a game like this. Dylan Mitchell and Bryce Hopkins also with some good supporting efforts, going for 15 and 14 respectively. On the UConn side, Silas Demery, their leader, with 18 points, but he had 9 turnovers. This one, just did not play well, did not take care of the ball at all, and it ends up really costing the Huskies here. Alex Caravan had 17, but he took 10 shots. I just didn't think it was the greatest game for him. He wasn't really a huge difference maker in this one. Then Solo Ball only 8 points on 8 shots. Also, just really disappointing here. So UConn, we'll see. They haven't really played any super tough. This was their first tough test here in the Big East, taking on St. John's. They still play one more time at Gamble Pavilion, so UConn will have a chance to get back, especially at home. But I don't know, maybe a little bit concerning for the Huskies. I don't really view them as a national championship caliber team at this point. After a result like that, that's kind of a game. If they are, they got to win. Just because, like I said, they haven't really had a lot of tough opportunities in the Big East to get big wins, and just kind of now their one chance, they end up dropping it. So it's kind of disappointing there. Then just kind of some other results from this weekend. Tennessee, Kentucky was a big one. Where Kentucky beats the Vols once again, 74-71. Gets Kentucky back into the polls here at 25th, and then Tennessee dropped out of the polls. Otega Owe went for 21 in this one. Big game from him. And Kentucky, they've been playing some good ball here. They're now 8-3 in the SEC. They're one game out of first. They take on Florida, who is currently in first place this weekend. That's going to be a really big contest there. So we'll kind of see here if, Kentucky can, for a team that was struggling, that non-conference played not go very well, and did get a win over St. John's. But, those are both teams I kind of had on my disappointing team when I started doing the show here, back up again in January. And since then, they've both been playing really well. So I guess maybe I should have called them disappointing earlier, and they would have figured it out. But, yeah, nice win there for Kentucky. Just, kind of talking some of those games. So Florida, they go into Texas A&M. They're now up to 14th. They get a win, 86-67 behind 22 points from Thomas Haw. He's been playing really well lately for the Gators. Like I said, that one was a battle for first place there in the SEC. As A&M drops 2 games last week. They were in first place squarely, but lost to Alabama and Florida, so now find themselves trailing in that conference. Clemson picks up a road win, 77-55 against Cal. Going across country, getting the sweep there. They're now up to 20. Like I mentioned, they're tied with Duke here at the top of the ACC. Those two teams play at Cameron Indoor Stadium this weekend, so that's going to be a really big one there. Just kind of looking at any other really notable ones. Results from this weekend. Gonzaga, they dropped all the way to 12th after they lost at Portland during the week. That was just one kind of out of nowhere. Same thing. Gonzaga doesn't get a lot of tough tests here in the WCC. That was probably their toughest game since that Michigan game back in Vegas, and they end up losing. So I don't know. Portland's not good. That wasn't a tough game. There've been teams that have played them kind of tougher here in the WCC this year, and to lose that game, definitely kind of disappointing there. Other than that, Purdue is now down to, what are they now ranked? They're ranked 13th, right behind Gonzaga. Another kind of disappointing team. They barely squeak by Oregon, winning 68-64 behind 18 points from Fletcher Lawyer. And Purdue is now currently beating Nebraska at the time of recording here. But the Boilermakers have not looked good recently. A team that had national championship aspirations. They just don't defend well enough to really be in that conversation. So they got to really get something figured out. I mean, it's just kind of Braden Smith and everyone else. Trey Kaufman-Wren's been really disappointing. And their bigs, too, and Oscar Clough and Daniel Jacobson. I was kind of expecting more from them. They just really have not played super well. I guess another one we can touch on here, too, is kind of a disappointing team. BYU, they lose their 4th straight game, falling 77-66 against Houston, who, like I said, Houston is now up to that 3rd-ranked team in the country. But BYU down to 22nd, one ahead of Miami, Ohio, who now is the last remaining undefeated team. But yeah, BYU loses 77-66 at home. Kingston Flemings goes for 19. AJ DeVance had 28 for the Cougars, but really just the rest of the cast, the supporting cast here for BYU has not been playing well. They haven't played any defense. I mean, giving up 77 points to Houston, who's a team that likes to play slower, play more defensively, as you've seen here. BYU only scored 66, but then they gave up like 99 to Oklahoma State during the week last week. So definitely disappointing for BYU. They got to get it figured out. They're currently losing at Baylor right now, too, at the time of recording. So, yeah, we'll kind of see here how things go for the Cougars. Yeah, and then I guess we'll just wrap up there. With Miami, like I said, just kind of give them a shout out. They win 90-74 at Marshall. They remain undefeated here. Ian Elmer, 18 points for him in that one. I kind of thought last week was going to be Miami suffered their first loss, but they knock off Marshall there, so got to give them props. And then SLU as well, big win, 82-58. Behind Ishan Sharma going for 15. The Billikens, they're all the way up now to 18th, right behind St. John's. So, props to them. I know, Brandon here is a SLU fan, so I'll give him a shout out. But I think that is going to wrap it up. A little bit shorter episode here. I know, last week I was feeling a little bit under the weather. Plus, with the Super Bowl, didn't get the chance to watch as much basketball as I was hoping. But, we're really gearing up here. I believe it's 5 or 6 weeks from today. The NCAA, like right now, the NCAA tournament, the playing games will be starting. So, going to be a lot of college basketball talk here going forward, as well as, like I said, I'm going to continue to kind of mix in the NBA. We'll probably talk some NBA All-Star Weekend, what I do watch on next week's show. And feel free to drop here in the comments, what topics you guys are interested in the basketball world to talk about. So definitely, want to get you guys more involved in this show. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.